Welcome everyone back to the Anarchy Analysis series, where week number 5 of our prediction series, round 2 of winter playoffs, is kicking off. We've got only 3 best of series happening this weekend to predict, with an extra 2 happening on the X, because I love my X. Anyway, let's go over last weekend's results. I'm going to be quick and sharp and frank with it. We only dropped 1 series, and that was the Vitality SK1. Vitality stepped up and took it over SK Gaming. With that said, let's get into this weekend's best of series and our matchup of the week. Our matchup of the week sees Giant X taking on MDK. Mad Lions Koi enter our Anarchy Analysis once more, and it's been a while since we've talked about them. In fact, it was legitimately week 1 of the split, and since then, I think things or thoughts about this team may have slightly changed as a whole, but they're still relatively the same performing team, consistent, able to take their opponents to the distance and be very, very threatening in terms of the game. I think Elyoya has been phenomenal this split and is certainly contending for All-Pro Jungler. What I will say is this Mad Lions squad is lacking in some regards in that bot lane, as certain picks seem to be crutches more than anything. And that may be because they're new to the league, getting adjusted. We technically did hit a new patch entering into the first round of playoffs, but this is the second time we're getting to see this MDK. And I think that's a huge thing to say, considering this is a team that's challenging, I think, for top 3, top 4 this split. As for their opponents, Giant X, they came in 8th and were demolished by G2 in round 1. The quick and easy 2-0 treatment was what they got. And we haven't talked about them yet, as they've realistically squeaked into playoffs. Last game it came down to. And then it's just here, where they're in a situation where do or die to get them valuable championship points against a very tough opponent in MDK. I want to discuss why Giant X have found some semblance of success this year in terms of qualifying for playoffs, and their style that they've kind of adapted to with the new additions that they have made. But as a whole, I'm gonna be very brief with the matchup and say I think that MDK will win convincingly 2-0. That's the outright starting point for my prediction. But the other point I need to make is MDK are very good in terms of playing the map and playing through Elyoya, but what could happen is Peach getting the bot lane ahead. Patrick and Ignar, 2 very formidable bot laners. They could quite easily carry the map against a very, I'd say, uncertain bot lane. So it'll come down to the bot lane and the jungle for how this matchup will go. So let's head into our next matchup after a 2-0 prediction to the Mad Lions. SK Heretics, first series happening this weekend. Best of 3, and we're coming into it with, honestly, disappointment out of SK, and overall a fairly expected position for Heretics. After week 1, obviously people saw BDS coming in and thought this will be a clean, easy sweep through Heretics, who honestly the players on that squad signified they could make good playoff runs. However, BDS demolished the Heretics squad and didn't really give them a chance to play. And, well, not surprising. You could have honestly expected more of a performance out from Heretics considering how the series turned out. Now, for the other matchup, or the other side of it, SK, they were our letdown squad last week. They didn't win their series, even though we predicted them to. And that tells you something about how SK have kind of played this season. Week 2, they were going up and up to week 2, where they've kind of been on the down. And they had a relatively easy matchup. Vitality were very weak against BDS in the upper bracket final, or semi, and BDS just swept through them, punishing Kazi and Hilly. Now, SK were slightly doing that to Hilly and Kazi, mainly Hilly, but it was just not enough to kill the game off. And eventually, Vitality bounced back, rebundled themselves, and just destroyed SK late. It's unfortunate to say, but SK through the games that they were in, and their drafts weren't that appealing to me. And I think what we're going to have to see week 2 is the bounce back. SK need to fight and beat Heretics. And I think this is a 5th, 6th kind of matchup, to be honest. However, it's coming in 7th, 8th. So yeah, not the best as a whole. Now, that being said, I think what we'll see here is a Team Heretics 2-1. It'll be close, back and forth. These two teams, I think, are in a similar sort of position in terms of how this split has gone. But only one can obviously win here, and I think the team that will win is Heretics. I think just the veterancy, the leadership out from this squad, from the 3 main stays of G2 2019, should step up here. I think where Heretics will suffer is in that top lane with Irrelevant. Probably going to punish Wonder, as I think Irrelevant and Nuke's Adom's playstyles are fairly similar. We'll see a similar sort of effect where Wonder's forced to play heavy weak side and kind of in a situation where he's not able to impact the game like he wants to, or Yankos' attention will be drawn away from the bot side where he wants to play and be forced to camp top because Irrelevant will be that Giga monster that will be hard to deal with. Now, Heretics, in the long run, I think, will step up and deal with that pressure and do it effectively. Obviously, a tough loss in week 1 to BDS should be a sign of how they should play that series out against SK, because it'll be a similar sort of style, and I think that will be how Heretics will attack it. Simple as that. So that's why I've gone 2-1 to Team Heretics. Lastly, for today, it's a best of 5, the first one of the year. Winter Split is almost over, it seems, with this upper bracket final. G2 versus BDS, where the winner goes to the first finals, the first playoff finals of a split this year, and be the first team qualified to MSI if they win. That's a daunting statement to be already making at the start of February. So, how will this one go? We get to talk about this one in depth, because this is the most hyped matchup. Sure, we're covering MDK versus Giant X solely so we can cover every team this year. But BDS G2, I want to focus on a little bit as well. G2 this year have looked good. They've looked stable. They've certainly had a very good year where their week 3 opening games were a bit shaky. They did, however, obviously bounce back last game, and then through playoffs have been flawless. I think the fact that they added that Zac gameplay and uniqueness into their team comp, I think it does surprise teams and catch them out. However, BDS are a team that have their own surprise factors with how they play. I think while most would have said that Crownie shouldn't have been dropped, Ice has done a very good job stepping into them shoes. I said this last week, I'll say it again. He's been very on point with how he's playing, and isn't really the reason why the team wins. It's certainly Adom and Nuke stepping up, but he certainly isn't the reason his team's losing games. He's kind of taking the moniker that Kobe had of Mr. Consistent, I think, for a ADC. Now, realistically speaking, the bot lanes have kind of become Hook City, with Nautilus and Blitz taking the kind of epitome, the feel for support, the pick that needs to be played. And personally, Labrov has been one of the best engaged players this year. He is going up against a bot lane in G2 who have been caught out quite consistently. And it's unfortunate to say that, considering these are two of the best squads we've got in Europe. But if BDS are able to catch out G2 like they have done before, I think this series very easily could go over to BDS. However, this is a huge however. I said this a few weeks ago. G2 seem to just try for one of these splits, qualify for whatever they need to, because bear in mind, if you win this split, you go to MSI, you go to the season finals. Realistically speaking, G2 are on a warpath to win this year. And I think they'll win this split, hands down. They've been far and away one of the best, if not the best team this year. I think also G2 will 2-1 this series. It'll be a close one and a good old brawl on the Rift. But I do believe their style just will destroy BDS and break them down systematically, and just either A, play an outscaling comp with a unique bot lane, or go for a draft that's unpredictable in terms of getting counter picks, because you don't know where their picks will go. That's something G2 have done time and again this year. As well as going for a massive counter in the top lane. One of the big things about BDS is they've had side select every single series, and when they get counter pick on red, they give it to Adom. He needs to be shut down if you're G2. So, counter pick City, I think, will be coming into play. Zac probably will be banned. G2 have got an affinity to that pick and have showcased it quite a lot. But whether or not Adom wants to leave it open and play it himself, Zac does get countered by Darius. Just saying. The reason I say it gets countered by Darius is because of just the hemorrhage from the Hemoplague ticking away at the pickup bloblets that Zac has to use. Because it's very much a health trade when it comes to Zac. You use your health to get damage down, and you try to recover as much of it as you can by picking up bloblets. Darius just bleeds you out of the matchup. So, realistically speaking, I think G2 may be banning out that Darius a little bit more than you would expect if they want to play around Zac. It's going to be a very interesting matchup overall, where I think top laners will be seeing their picks drop down to their last rotation. And yeah, that's going to be that for my prediction. G2 2-1. And with that prediction, I get to round out this video. Vitality and Fnatic also play this weekend on the Monday. I will be making some content on X for it. You know the deal. We've also got the best of series between MDK and Giant X. We'll break that down on Sunday for the first time ever. We're getting a Sunday stream this year. So thank you very much for joining me. If you've enjoyed it, leave a like down below. It's been a while since I've had a bit of fun making one of these, and it certainly feels fun. But yeah, thanks very much for joining me. If you enjoyed, leave a like down below. Subscribe if you're new to everyone do it. I will see you guys next time. I just scuffed my outro. Peace out.
Never break, always fight, never quit, do it right, play the game, win it life, have no shame, there's no time, feel the pain, live the grind, I could change, in my mind, pick a lane, commit and climb, the only way to win it life, I never miss, that's fact, taking big